An introduction, okay.
Hey, everybody. We are live now, Prince of Queens channel, and I probably didn't close the other window, and I'm going to hear it in a second. So, oh, there we go. I muted it. Ooh, I caught myself this time. That's the first time I've ever been able to successfully turn off the audio in the window I have open so that I can see the chat. So, I am joined today by my friend who is actually the artist of my avatar, who appears to have a new name.
Yes, I changed my name because I changed the story for my webcomic that I'm making, and I'm trying to actually use my handles for everything to use for that story and everything.
Okay. So your name is, how do you say it?
It's Jome, but that is the character's name. I am Israel, and I don't mind if people call me that.
Okay, so I think we're gonna, for the purpose of this stream, we're gonna call you Jome,
All
just
right, that's fine.
because that's what people can see.
I mean,
So
reasonable.
yeah, so you have a funny story to tell us, but before we get into that, I need to tell a funny story of what just happened to me on Facebook. So in case anybody doesn't know, and you probably share this in common with me, I'm a huge fan of Ghost in the Shell.
Oh yes,
Yeah, it's kind of the coolest thing ever. Especially, and not, what,
anime.
say it?
It's a fantastic anime.
Yeah, and not just, it's, the movie, is meh, it's cool and everything, but it's not really like, it's not what Ghost in the Shell is all about. It's, Ghost in the Shell is all about the sequel movie is when it starts to get really cool. And then the fucking series, the Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, is like
Yes,
the coolest thing ever.
it's definitely the better of the different versions of it, probably because of the detail in it.
Yeah, and yeah, the detail and the complicated ongoing plot with the Laughing Man and stuff, which is like that drastically inspired me when last decade when I was first like really getting into the internet and like social media was first really starting to exist, and it was like you could create different sort of avatars kind of like Laughing Man and go into different forums and I was actually very open about not creating too many different like kind of troll accounts just because I didn't like that. I didn't like the dishonesty. But yeah, it really inspired me, blah blah blah. Anyways, we're just getting to nerdy details. So I'm definitely going to see the movie in the theaters. And if I can on opening night, I should probably try to talk to a few of my friends and like we should plan for it and like see it at the IMAX and everything, because I fucking love Ghost in the Shell. And I'm also I think the footage looks pretty cool. It might be bad, it might not be, but I think it looks decent. Like they're kind of going with sort of a Matrix type style, but with, better uh you know
It's
CGIs.
definitely not as true to the original, but then again, what movie adaptation ever is?
Yeah.
So I think it will have its strong points in its own way, but I don't think it'll be. I think it'll probably match more of the quality level of the very first movie,
Yeah,
to be honest.
likely. And maybe they're going to rely a lot on the action and not enough on the cyber brain technology, which is what is really cool about it. The fact that they're basically living in a cybernetic telepathic universe where everybody can kind of like talk to each other through their minds and stuff,
Mhm.
and that's what's really cool. And the artificial intelligence, the touch comas were really cool. Um,
I mean, I'm sure they'll touch on it, but like you said, it'll probably be more focused on visuals, sort of like the adaptations of The Hobbit, the books.
Oh, I didn't actually see that. So anyway, today like I was on Facebook and some fucking friend of mine on Facebook who I don't actually know that you know seems he seems younger, like he seems like he's probably in his early 20s, and I think I have this feeling that there's a lot of people who sort of think that they're anime fans and sort of think that they're like nerds and but what they're really doing is they're just fetishizing the 90s because the 90s are retro to them. And I don't know, maybe,
I see what you're saying there. I know a lot of people who weren't even born in the 90s at all were born in like 2000 and are like, oh, 90s kid.
yeah, and they'll put some fucking anime as their, profile backdrop, but they've like never seen it or something,
Yeah.
Um,
I've seen people with Ranma 1/2 stuff, and it's like, have you even seen Ranma 1/2? No? Why is that there?
yeah. And we have that same thing in the 90s. Like girls would wear Sailor Moon shirts and they would have like never seen the show. Not that I even really like Sailor Moon, but and I'm not like a huge anime fan. I got really into I mean, I can hold a little bit of a conversation with an anime nerd, but regardless, I've definitely seen everything Ghost in the Shell, and it's my favorite thing ever. Like basic, I like it even better than Game of Thrones and Star Trek The Next Generation, and that's really saying something. So I'm going to see the movie, and I'm going to see it in the theaters. And this person was like, who I don't think actually probably really knows that much about it. The typical, we've had this conversation for the past like year and a half because they've been planning this movie for a long time, maybe like 2.5 years. And people are like, how dare they cast a white woman? It's the Westernization. And it's just like, okay, first of all, that's just not even really true. According to the, if you actually look at it, she doesn't actually, she looks kind of white. Like she looks like a white character mostly.
Yes,
Second,
we had this debate with something earlier too, where everyone on the page, and it's very short, but everyone on the page was talking about how it's ridiculous. People were saying, oh, she has to be Asian, and multiple people on the post were either half Asian or mixed or actually Asian, and one was like, it's funny how everyone who disagrees that she shouldn't have been Asian thinks that or agrees that it's okay that she's not Asian is white or something, even though a lot of us weren't.
yeah, and so like in the plot of Ghost in the Shell, I have, I don't know how many times I have to say this because other people don't say it enough. And you can tell from the fucking preview, she's 100% cyborg. They show her face opening up. And so and she always has been. She was saved as like a premature baby that was in the womb from a terrorist attack, and they pulled the brain out of the baby because the baby hadn't completely died somehow. It's kind of
they often try to use the name as an excuse, I've noticed, despite the fact that we know that it's an alias. It's not her true name.
Yeah, it's like they don't know anything about the fucking plot of the thing. And then the other thing is, so the guy posted this and he was like, how dare, I hope nobody spends any money on it. And I'm like, I am absolutely spending money on this movie. And he was like, why? Do you want to be part of the statistic that westernizes anime? And I'm like, look, dude, okay, her body has always been full cyborg. She never really looked that white, and I think the footage looks kind of cool. Also, I want to spend my money on things that I have traditionally enjoyed, because if you haven't noticed, there's hardly any good like movies coming out these days anyway. So if I've enjoyed something that's good, I want to actually go support it at this point in time. And
otherwise we got the Emoji Movie or some crap.
And what else did I say? Okay, I want to go support it, and also I'm really sick of this outrage machine around media. If you've ever, okay, and I have Japanese family members, and I've been to Japan, and I said this, and I'm like, if you actually ever go there, you'll realize that Japanese people, like, if you go to the hip districts of Tokyo, like the where the young people hang out, you'll see a buttload, like a ton of young Japanese kids trying to look like they're like white Americans. They'll bleach their, and I showed a picture of this with 3 girls that have like blonde curly hair and they're Japanese, and then they're like, trying to look like rocker chicks and stuff, and so I'm like,
teen girl makeup style, fashion style, even though it's not as popular as it used to be, it is somewhat rooted in the ideal of American beauty being tan, blonde, bleach blonde hair, and all of that.
Yeah. So I just said, Yeah, they fetishize us every bit as much as we fetishize them. It's not necessarily a bad thing. We live in a culture where I can chat real time with somebody, across the world. I just had a live stream on Sunday with this guy in Russia who's like a Asian Russian guy, and we talked real time. So like cultural mixing is not always a bad thing. Like this it's so arrogant to act like you get to decide as some like young politically correct in this moment at this given time. You get to decide what is acceptable in a sci-fi that is set in 2034. you know like
Well, it's
how
also quite ridiculous because it's also trying to force this idea that your race decides your culture when it doesn't. There's white people born and raised with African culture. There's black people born and raised with American culture. There's all over the world, there's different races and different cultures born and raised into those cultures. So trying to enforce the idea that, oh, if you're this race, you have to have the culture of that race, even if you weren't even born into it. They're trying to own things that may not even relate to them at all.
yeah, it's no it's obscenely arrogant if you think about it, and sort of like um not just arrogant, but entitled. Like it's like you don't get to tell people what to fucking do. Somebody in the chat just said that the creator of Ghost in the Shell picked Scarlett Johansson.
That's also true. He also was going to oh man, see, I'm not good with names. It's been a long time since I even watched Ghost in the Shell. But he had several other characters that he tried to pick white actors for specifically for those characters, and he refused. He didn't want to do it, so he had to find his second pick.
Mm,
But I forget which one it was.
okay. Well, so let's go into your story now. So I just said that, and then the guy, this was the punchline. The guy was like, "What the fuck?" Because I had said like, like I actually have Japanese family members. I've been to Japan. They fetishize Western people. Here's a picture of girls with trying to look like they're white Americans. Cultural mixing is not always a bad thing. And he said, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, mind blown. And then he blocked me.
Yeah. See, this is why I kind of enjoy what happened to me today because they can't block you, they can't run, and you get to watch the discomfort on their face as they realize, wait, this person has me beat. This person has logic. I can't manipulate them into white guilt. What do I do?
Was this in person that this happened?
This was in person, face to face.
Okay, so yeah, so just to set the stage, Joe May contacted me today about somebody trying to claim that misgendering was not actually about somebody being perceived as the gender that they were biologically born as, but it really had to do with
White supremacy. All right. So just to basically give a little insight into this, I am transgendered. I actually prefer to say transsexual as I wish to transition physical sex because this whole gender is in the head thing, stuff like that. So I see myself as a transsexual man. I want to become a man in all the senses. So I am embarking in therapeutic exploration of my gender and sexual identity to try and make sure that I take the right steps and make sure that this is right for me. And one of the things that we thought would be good to do on this day was to try and talk to people who were polar opposites of my gender identity. So there was a trans woman and a person who identified as non-binary. And originally it was just going to be me discussing trans issues, but the non-binary individual decided that they wanted to make it explicitly clear that they were SJW. Because when I was speaking about experiences in being misgendered and how I strongly believe that people have the right to misgender you as respect, it's about accommodation. You're not owed pronouns or anything like that. they proceeded to tell me that, and I'll quote them, that, okay, I'm going to give you some tough love. Trans people being misgendered is not about, you know, what you want or need. It's about white supremacy. White people have come over and forced white genders on different races and religions of people, and these previous religions had gender identities that were alternative and different and accepting, and they didn't misgender. It's white people who caused misgendering. So, there, you can't make this up. I don't know how in the world this person came to find this to be the all truth of how misgendering happens, but
I think I do know, and it's because there was, like there's like the two spirits in certain Native American cultures. I don't know, like I think everybody has this like fantasy vision of like Native Americans being this like lovely, it's like if you go to the powwow and everyone's nice and dancing. Like no, those were the good days of that didn't happen all the time. There was actually kind of like warring tribes that would like
kill
in,
each other
kill
and
each other and enslave each other and
yeah, they like erase that literally the ones who came over were actually Spaniards, not they try to like blame a lot of European, mostly Irish and British based Caucasians, but it was actually Spaniards who came over to America, and it was the Spaniards queen, be it, who was Latina, who even funded Christopher Columbus coming over here to do this. The England didn't want anything to do with it.
yeah, there's so much misunderstood history about Native Americans. I mean, and almost
just like we fetishize Asians and stuff, yada yada. It's just a bunch of back and forth fetishizing and romanticizing everything because we all think the grass was greener on the other side. No,
yeah,
it's just fake over there.
yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It was fake grass on the other side of the tree. It's like, yeah, because the only reason that people get to think that is because these cultures did more or less die out. In the case of Native Americans, and the vast majority. Okay, this is another thing that just is a simple point of contention, but there was like some very grisly wars and mass killings and everything, but the vast majority of Native Americans died from disease, like the vast. And people then try to say that it was like, oh well, the white people gave them disease on purpose. They gave them blankets that had smallpox. That happened like once that people know of, and like other than that, it was just that they brought over European diseases that Native Americans didn't have immunities for, and so they died of like, I don't know exactly what, but I think largely things like not like pneumonia or something.
It was basic things that were everyday things to the white people in that time. So the flu, the cold,
yeah,
their
and
version of it. It's the same when you go to another country. You need to be vaccinated and take a lot of vitamin C to try and boost your immune system because it's the same
yeah,
thing.
yeah, like when you see Chinese people on vacation and they're walking around with masks, so yeah, it's like kind of a weird, silly thing to base people's belief systems around. And oh, I lost my train of thought. So yeah, but what's funny is that I also, people talk about how like there was all these African tribes that had queer people and blah 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 blah, and it's like there's a lot of different tribes in Africa. I'm betting they found like maybe two or three that had like some sort of queer people in them, because I don't think that that's some sort of rural rule that like does. I don't think the Zulu nation had like their token, two spirit type person.
I think it's that they see this one situation, and I like to call this the Google vaccine situation because I'm sure you all know that if Google was a man, video on YouTube where the lady is like, vaccines cause Asperger's or autism or something like that, and Google's like, well, here's a bunch of things that say they don't, and here's one that says they do, and she's like, I knew it. I feel it's the same situation here with basically everything with social justice warriors and feminists. Is they see one situation where they made an exception for something, or they put a name to something. So in this situation, say this one Indian tribe was like, this person is strange, let us call them two-spirited because we don't know what the fuck's going on here. And so now they're like, they were so progressive, my mind is blown, they're so holy.
The whole village was non-binary.
The whole village was demi-queer, trigender.
Yeah, no, it's pretty fucking funny. Did you ever see that that video that was okay, do you know who Alok whatever his name is, he's like Indian, like from India, American, but you know, he's East Indian, I guess is what we call it. And here, I'm gonna screen share a little bit of this video in case you haven't seen it, because you might remember it, because it's the cringiest thing ever. Alok Refinery. It was the is it Refinery 29 or Refinery 27? Man, or okay, I found it. So Magdalene Burns did a response video to it, I think, and oh wait, no, I want the one that's Refinery 29, because there was one that was on.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I do want to say this because I can't believe someone said this to me in person, face to face. I am blown away that I witnessed this in real life. This non-binary individual looked me straight in the eye and said, Islam is a feminist religion. I got to enjoy the taste of this horrific statement in real life in front of my mom, who is from Turkey and has read the Quran, and this person was like, and I said, it's not. And so they replied, have you even read the Quran? And my mom's like, I'm from Turkey. I've read the Quran front to back. It is not a feminist religion. It is very patriarchal. So it was just even more beautiful just to show how lost this person is.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, what the whole SJW phenomenon, which we already knew. We already knew that people are gullible sheep that mostly like really literally can't think for themselves and will search.
I refer to them less as sheep and more as goat, because sheep are very quiet when you take them to slaughter. However, goats are just like all the time.
But goats are cool and they're kind of
yes.
Goats are cool and they're kind of smart. Like if you ever hang out with goats, they do weird things. Like they like to climb, and they're I don't know. They're a little bit more independent minded, I would say. But I know what you're saying about the noise, the noisiness.
Yeah, they're more noisy. Like sheep don't bleat as much. Like lambs don't bleat and cry out when they're being taken to slaughter and all that jazz. But goats are very loud.
Yeah. So I'm gonna unplug my headset real quick. Hold on.
All right.
Okay, can you?
I can hear you, but it is a bit glitchy.
Okay, well, this is the best I can do, because I want to play this video, and it's the only way I can play it is if I unplug my headset. Otherwise, you guys can't hear it. So I think that this video might be where the person that you talked to today, the non-binary person, they might have got their worldview from. It might have been from this video specifically, because this video is about the topic, and it's like, seriously, you guys, you know, get a vomit bag, because it is so bad. It is so
I got my trash can, I'm ready. Oh boy. No, I can't see anything yet. Okay, now I can.
There we go. Okay. Have you seen this motherfucker before?
No, I haven't. I've
Oh,
seen him on BuzzFeed, I think.
he's the worst. He's pretends to be non-binary, but he's just like,
Dude, no, you're you're just a faggot. That's all.
yeah.
That's just fag right there.
Okay, so
I mean, me too, but
let's press play.
Hi,
my
name is Alok, and I'm non-binary, which means I don't identify as a man or a woman.
What is this?
Wait, you just said you just said the same. You just said the same thing as them. You're like, what is this? Let's back up. Oh.
What is that? That's a gender non-conforming person who's making me uncomfortable because of my own insecurities.
It's okay. Let's call it names so we feel better about our own repressed desires.
Did they just call it? Isn't that recognizing? I'm triggered.
Yeah, it's so cringe. Let's call it names so we can feel better about our own repressed desires. I have no desire when I look at this.
Yeah, no,
this is the opposite of desire.
Yeah, no. I mean, look at his face right now. I'm really uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see.
Individuality. Non-binary people like me are punished for daring to defy conventions and be ourselves.
Man, woman, liberal, conservative, crazy, sane. Each one of these is what we call a dichotomy, and they are everywhere. So
Okay. I keep having to stop just so I don't get like some stupid copyright strike because I kind of want to save this. Yeah, it's very cringe.
Very much so. He looks. I don't even know how to describe his outfit. It doesn't look like actual clothing. It looks like he went into a party store and picked out an outfit that was labeled like schoolgirl or something like that.
Oh, I need to move to a different room in the house. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Little technical difficulties of sorts. Okay, so yeah, it's very cringe. But what's amazing about it is that it gets to a point where they start giving a history lesson, which I think is probably about to be what happens in the next little bit. And I have an idea about this, but let's watch it first, and then I'll tell you my idea. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
how did we get here? Once upon a time in a land far, far away, there were white cis dudes messing up again, lol.
So like, there was this guy named Rene Descartes.
It's Descartes.
Well, this guy was widely regarded as the father of modern philosophy.
Right now.
So what they're saying is, if you heard, could you hear what they're saying?
I can hear it. It's a little hard to understand because on my end, since it's coming through a microphone, both the music and the voice is getting a little muddied.
Oh yeah, it's very bad audio quality anyway. So what they said was, let's go back in history. As usual, there was white cis guys fucking things up again. And this is the reenactment of, and they're basically about to describe the man who himself invented binary genders. So that's what this girl's playing right now. She's being the.
They're saying this man invented binary genders.
Yeah. Like it was all him, and she. Yeah.
I mean, she doesn't even look like a man right there.
Yeah. Well, because she's maybe non-binary, so let's.
I just don't even know.
Okay, so.
I'm really into the idea of dualisms, which will one day become dichotomies. My favorite has to be the mind-body divide. It's great. Descartes, who lived in the Netherlands, just happened to come on the scene as the Dutch Empire started
Okay, I had to pause it for a second, but I'm going to move on.
to expand its colonies across the entire world. Good timing, Renee. Convenient that a philosophy of the mind-body divide emerged at a time when Descartes' Enlightenment developed on the backs of exploited Black and brown people in the global South.
Because people of color just have bodies and not minds.
See, can you see how they maybe got it from this thing?
I can. I mean, they didn't really specifically. They were like the only person in the room who put race onto anything. Like the trans woman who was there was Latina, so she was clearly POC. My therapist was POC. She was Black, and then we have me, the one other white person, with this non-binary person who also happened to be white. So of course it's always, because SJWs usually tend to be white for some reason.
Yeah.
So it was all her putting race on everything. Literally no one else in the room had mentioned race until this one.
So okay, let's just get through a little bit more of this. We don't have to watch the whole thing.
Let's call this one Syria. I like that. It's got a nice ring to it. This has got to be Egypt.
Even they look uncomfortable.
Oh god, it's so cringe.
Hey, excuse me,
What?
No. Listen, the world is far too complicated and nuanced.
Oh god.
It's really not.
Let's go back. Let's see, because I want to hear the beginning of his speech. He's like, I'm gonna steal this globe and I'm gonna totally like reshape philosophy. Look how fabulous I am.
But isn't that acting? Like the white people, you're stealing the stage from them? It's fucking racist? No, I don't know.
Listen, the world is far too complicated and nuanced to fit into two oppositional categories only. We live in a culture that measures people's worth, not by who they are, but rather who they are not.
He's trying to be so cool. He's trying so hard to be cool and edgy and glamorous, but it's just not working for him.
No, it's not. And the weird thing is that he actually had a TEDx talk a number of years ago, and like, okay, I'm not going to say it's not cringy, but he at least appeared intelligent and it was, articulate. This shit just seems like he's been fucking drinking, like a 12-pack of beer every night and smoking pot when he wakes up every morning.
He doesn't seem fully there. I can see what you're saying. He definitely seems a little out of it.
Yeah, and like, oh my god, I think because he used to actually be a real activist that actually did stuff, and his TEDx talk was about how he decided that he needed to stop doing activism because he felt like it wasn't working, and instead he wanted to just focus on community building, which I guess ended up being like talking about how great it is to be non-binary. And
well, he did say he wanted to stop being an advocate, so now he's this.
Yeah. It was like, this is how I became demoralized and pathetic. So like, I feel bad for him because I kind of have a feeling that he would actually be a nice guy if you met him in person. He might also be a total arrogant piece of shit, for all we know. But
I feel like most of these people who are SJW or feminists, most of them, and unfortunately, my sister has fallen victim to this. Before she was SJW, she identified as feminist, and she was totally rad. She was totally cool. But then she suddenly went down this extreme, and I realized that a lot of these people are just they're trying to be good. They're trying to be good guys. They're trying to do what they think is right because they don't really know what's right, and they're being told, this is right, the underdogs are in trouble, they're being hurt, protect the bullied, So they think they're doing right, and they truly have good intention at the core, most of them, not all of them. But because they're so misled and they have no ability to really see with reason, they're just crowd followers, they don't realize that what they're doing is not the right thing. They're just being exactly the thing they're claiming to fight against.
Yeah, or I mean, there's some that are just pure evil, like Cat Black, who is just an evil person. But like, this guy, I think
Arna, whatever her name is. Her. Oh no, she's a mess.
I still didn't hear who that you were.
Zarna.
Oh, Zarna Joshi. Yeah. Oh, I think she is paid to be crazy. That's my theory with her.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of them are just like some weird government design thing, or like they were made by ISIS or something to put over here to mess with us. I don't know what they are.
Yeah, no, I share the same sentiment. But this guy, and this is the same thing with a lot of the male trenders. I think that what it really is just that he's deeply insecure because he can't get dates because he's too femme.
Yeah.
Because like he wouldn't like when he was a little like not as non-binary and like maybe didn't have the pot belly that he has now. He could be pretty cute, you know.
Ditch those ugly piercings. Ditch, especially the fucking clicker nose piercing. Those are like the ugliest things I've ever seen. Pluck your eyebrows, lose some weight, and actually wear decent clothing that don't look like you got them out of like the little girls section in Walmart. And hey, you might have something going for you.
Yeah, and it's like it pisses me off because what happens is these guys who are, because I've run into this, like I've encountered this in the gay male community numerous times. Some fucking guy is like kind of queenie, and like, okay, you guys can hear it in my voice. It's not like I'm the most 100% masculine dude my whole life, you know. It's not like I was kind of queenie sometimes, you know, and I still kind of talk like it. But you learn if you want to get dates, you learn how to make yourself more attractive, and you sort of go into that. You know, you don't have to necessarily be super masculine. You just start to be what you would want, and then you find another guy that is like that. And
I've noticed that to be a thing that it's kind of weird, is that if you have a specific type that you're into, if you start acting like the type that you're attracted to, you start attracting the type that you're attracted to.
yeah. And then, but what happens is these guys who like either don't are unsuccessful at, you know, changing their general persona, or they don't even try. Then somebody gets under their, some feminist usually, you know, then some feminist whispers in their ear, hey,
Snakes that they are.
yeah, and they tell them, hey, it's not the guy, it's not you, it's not that you're undesirable, it's that the gay community is misogynist and you are non-binary, so you can just say fuck them and identify as non-binary, and it's their problem. And so they exploit these guys' insecurity and get them to like abandon even trying to get dates, and that's what happens. And then you end up like this guy.
And that's pretty tragic. I mean, it's such a way to really distort any hope of building genuine confidence in a person, because that's like one of the quickest ways to actually get people to be attracted to you, is being confident with yourself and who you are as a person already.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
and
me, but
that's something that's super attractive, and I know a lot of other people find just that overall general confidence within yourself to be attractive.
yeah, I used to fucking, okay, so I look particularly butch, like, if you look at me, I know I don't sound like it, but I do. Like, people think I'm a straight dude generally walking down the street. Maybe largely just because I have bad posture and I don't take good care of myself in terms of shaving. So, but, like, when I was in San Francisco and I was partying all the time, I had like a sparkly, like a sequenced hat that it was a baseball cap that was sequenced, but like, I would wear that and like a striped colorful shirt and like, you know, very camp type stuff. The type of thing that like, if it was on a femme guy, it would look pretty like, oh God, this is a kind of a non-binary dude or something. But I was so masculine looking that people would tell me like, dude, you really pull that outfit off because you're so masculine looking that and you're confident, you know, that you don't seem like some weird queen. It's like, it's actually kind of cute. And I wasn't trying to be non-binary. I wasn't like wearing, you know, lipstick and like pretending I was semi. So yeah.
I think with gender, a lot of the issue is, this is just my own perception of gender and what it is. Now, of course, I'm not saying this is the absolute. It could, for all we know, we could in a few years find scientifically that somehow non-binary is real. I'm open to things like that.
Yeah, I am too. Yeah.
Yeah. But the way I see it is, there is two genders, and that's male and female. However, there is androgyny, but androgyny isn't a gender. It's just a gender expression. It's dressing in a way that you could be comfortable with your physical sex or not be comfortable with it, but it's just dressing in a way that doesn't really say male or female, or it says both, and it's just a way of presenting yourself. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't make you non-binary. It's just dressing that way. And a lot of these people just enjoy dressing that way. They just enjoy androgyny. That's where a lot of different fashion subcultures came from. Like goth is very much into that androgynous appearance. There's a lot of Japanese fashions like visual K or Ki. I'm not sure if it's K or Ki, but that's all about androgyny. It's huge. So what it really is they just want to dress weird, but they're trying to put political statements in with it because they want to feel special. And well,
because it's been pushed on them. Like, yeah. You know, this happened in the 90s. You know, I have my whole video about transgenders and what I call bisexuals, which is yeah. Because
I remember when all the kids were like, "I'm bisexual," but they're really not.
Yeah, and they were like dressing up all gothy, and like guys, you know, straight dudes would have fucking black nail polish on all the fucking time, and.
Yeah. Like I said, that Blair White said, which is something I was saying before for a long time, is that this whole non-binary is just the new emo. It's the new alternative. That's all it is at its core, really.
Yeah, but in the 90s, politicians weren't like, they didn't have National Geographic trying to legitimize it, you know?
It's definitely a more heavy-backed alternative now, where it's about being validated with political, because they put so much political ideal and have made this basically into a giant religion.
Yeah,
is why it's so intense.
Yeah, and I think that the ultimate, you know, because you have to, people always call me a conspiracy theorist. Fine, I take that. Fine, I can handle being called that. You have to look at the motivations of the people on the top of the pyramid, who, you know, the person who decided to do that National Geographic gender issue, that is a smart person, and that's a very well-connected person. That's a person that has to approve many things through many people in order to make things happen. So these things are not just happening accidentally. They're not just doing it to sell some magazines. That is actually, National Geographic probably isn't a profitable business. They probably do not make their money through selling magazines anymore, because those magazines are expensive. They have very high like quality for photos and publishing, and nobody buys paper like that anymore. So it's probably all politics, you know? And what I think the ultimate goal of the crazy non-binary stuff is to, you know, we don't have to watch the rest of this. So I can put in my headset so you guys can hear me better. Lottie dog, give me 3 seconds. So, okay, hear me better?
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, the ultimate goal of all of the like weird non-binary stuff and, you know, telling people that gender isn't real, ultimately it is a means of disempowerment, because it's about it warps people's perception of the fundamental basis of reality. Like the first thing that you learn about yourself when you start being conscious is that you are a person and that you are male or female. And
I would agree with you there, because think about it. If you wanted to take over an area and you want to push your power or agenda on something, what's the first thing you would want to do? Take away the power of the individuals within it. So
yeah.
if they're powerless, they have nothing to fight for, and you take all that away from them and come in and say, well, I can give you identity, I can give you power, I can give you this, but you have to do all this for me. It's easier for you to manipulate and control the situation. So it's just a lot of brainwashing for something bigger, and what that is, I don't know.
Yeah, totally. Hold on, I have to mute myself. Keep talking.
I mean, I don't have anything much else to say, but I can say what I suspect it is. And I'm not saying this absolutely is what it is, because like you said, a lot of people would call you a conspiracy theorist. Well, I would call myself a conspiracy theorist, because I'm always like, well, what if this, what if that? And I'm not afraid to compare myself to that one guy on Ancient Aliens who's like, it's aliens, it's all aliens. But I suspect that possibly this is in some way all related to ISIS. Not because I think, oh, they're coming over here to like kill us all, in the sense of, I'm not sure how to word it, but in the sense of ISIS and people like them have been known to have this type of attack where they attack from within rather than from without. So instead of them having an army that they set up on the outside and come and destroy us that way in the typical war sense, they're slowly breeding themselves within our own society so that they can eat us out from within. So the way that a wasp will reproduce, it's a specific type of wasp, but there's a type of wasp that will go into anthills and lay their eggs within inside the larva of the other ants, and the wasp babies will eat that larva alive and then eat the whole colony when it's an adult. So I suspect that it might be in some way the same thing. And I suspect this because so many of these people are like, oh, Islam is such a feminist religion. Islam's great. Muslims great. All this is so good. We need ISIS to come over here. We need Sharia law. So I'm like, are you guys a part of ISIS or something? What is this?
Yeah.
So something I suspect possibly, or somehow related in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's just a theory and a thought, because I see all these consistencies, even with the Black Lives Matter stuff. The one of the co-creators or founders with her praise Allah shit.
Oh yeah, the Allahu Akbar or Allah Akbar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is very, very weird. It's hard to say. I don't know a whole bunch about the Islamic State and the Islamic blah 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 and like all that stuff that's going on in ISIS. And I honestly, you know what, I can be perfectly real with you and 36 people watching, which is that I kind of don't want to know too much about Islam, because being a gay guy who's opinionated, who is outspoken, who does have an audience now, and am very kind of conspiratorial minded. I think I'm pretty good at figuring out systems of power, and things like all the shit I said about this election kind of ended up coming true. If you go through my old videos, like it's like, so if I were to start doing that with ISIS and Islam and went down that rabbit hole, I could get myself in some trouble. Probably.
It is dangerous, and it's dangerous for even myself to be saying this because of what my name is. Since my name being Israel, that puts me in a lot of danger for a lot of things, because ISIS hates Israel, it hates the country, they hate Jews, they hate anything that has to do with Abrahamic religion, especially Jews. So it puts me in extra danger, but I'm not afraid. I would rather ISIS kill me than have to live in their law or ideal or world, because all they want to do is turn all their men into crazy drones, basically, and all the women into sex slaves, and anyone who isn't, a hot enough female for them or obedient enough man to them, they are going to slaughter. They're going to rape and slaughter because they don't care. Let me in Islamic countries, they do not care about they have this thing where it's like men are for pleasure, women are for procreation. So they have no problem with having gay sex, but they pretend that they're like, oh no, gay is bad, but they have no problem with it in actuality, as long as it's their own enjoyment. But they have to be quiet about it. It's this ridiculous double standard thing that they have in a lot of these extreme views side of this. It's just so stressful. You can hear in my voice how stressed out I am about the situation, especially after earlier today. But
I'm stressed about the fucking Google. They're Computing Forever just posted a new video a few hours ago that I watched the whole thing. I was actually just watching it when you were messaging me. Google is putting further restrictions on basically coming up with a list of protocol for how to get rid of content creators that they don't like.
no.
And I know I'm already, I am fucking not even a very big channel, but I'm definitely am on that list of content creators that they don't like.
Subject matter.
Well, the reason I know this, not just because I get hit so hard with the unsubbing thing, which, you know, I don't know what it is. Like, there's no proof of this, so I don't want to be on their platform saying that they're doing, you know, evil things, because that is really tacky. And honestly, like, I love the idea of what YouTube is, and it's pretty cool. But there is rumors that there is no unsub bug. It's completely deliberate. They put it on certain channels, and that is a rumor. Like, supposedly some Google employee got drunk and said that. But I don't know if that is true, and it's irresponsible to say that if it's not true. But there is a new list of rules that are, and it's not just going to be on what gets to be on YouTube, but they are going to potentially take people's ad revenues. Like, you won't be able to use AdSense anymore, and what it's looking like is that they're coming up with ways of basically potentially maybe blacklisting people from everything that has to do with Google.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, stemming from like the PewDiePie situation and all that, if you were a company and you now have all these different users on YouTube who are finding ways to make money by saying literally anything and everything they want with no control, no hierarchy over them, that's going to freak you out, because you're going to lose your power. They want their power and control no matter what it is, because any company would want that. They want whatever is working within them, all their quote unquote employees, to follow their rules and their laws and have that control. So it wouldn't surprise me that they are now trying to force YouTube to be more like televised television.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that stuff worries me. I don't want to get too much into it. I mean, I know that, if anything, I've been through, I don't know how old you are. You're younger, right?
Yeah, I'm 18.
Oh, you're super young.
Yeah.
You're a very talented artist.
Thank
So, yeah, and if anyone's just tuning in, this is the artist that actually made my avatars with the that you can see right now. So, but the thing is, what was I gonna say? I've been through different social media changes in my life. I started on social media when it was just mailing lists in the late 90s. Like, I was constantly on mailing lists where all it was email, and you know, everybody, it would just be like this gigantic group email chain session. And then I was on bulletin boards back in the day, and then I was on Friendster, which was the prototype for Facebook, and then I was on MySpace, and then tribe.net. You get used to changing, but you have to like sort of start from scratch and like remake new friends, you know, and you usually only maintain a few hundred friends from the last platform or whatever.
I definitely can say and I'm not trying to interrupt you or anything, but
No, that's fine.
that I've had my own experience with that as well. I promise that today I probably don't sound as intelligent as I actually am. I'm usually a lot more collected and able to speak a lot better, but today I'm just a mess.
I think you sound pretty smart.
Thank you. I usually sound a lot better. My voice is very jittery today because today was a bad day in general since the beginning. But I definitely have experienced that in the sense of Tumblr. I've been from MySpace all the way up to Tumblr in its current date now. So I've definitely had that issue in MySpace and Facebook and everything as well several times over and over again. So I know what that's like, at least in the sense of the new social media.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, you know, minds.com is like good, but like in order for content creators to make money, you know, because I'm starting to make money. Like this, I only have a bit over 8,000 subscribers, but like I am making over like, okay, I'm not gonna say how much I make because I don't make a lot, but I don't want people to have some weird warped perception of how much people make in terms of money on YouTube. Because one of the things that that really sets me apart from other YouTubers is just the vast amount of videos that I make. Like I have about 200 videos, and I've only been doing it since July. And people
videos very, very quickly.
Yeah, and people actually, I have a pretty good audience retention where, you know, like I generally get over 2,000 views of every video that I put out within a week at least, sometimes a lot more. So, though recently it's been slowing down, I think because of weird things that are out of my control, algorithm bullshit. But, you know, it is to the point where, if within the next year, if things were going well, I could easily make this my full-time living, and like, you know, change my life situation and have extra spending money. Right now, I'm pretty bare bones. So, it's pretty nice. But at the same time, it's like, it does feel like somebody doesn't want me to be doing this. And I've had that experience with so many different things in my life where it's like, I start making music and like all sorts of people really seem to like it. And then it turns out that some DJ that I didn't want to date, like went around telling everybody some lie about me that, like this literally happened to me in San Francisco. I moved down to San Francisco and I was making a lot of music. People, you know, the audience type people really liked my music. I got signed on a record label, and I had some DJ gigs where, you know, people were really, really excited about my DJ sets because I DJ on vinyl and I've been doing it since 1999. I know how to do. I used to headline at raves when I was like 21, so I really know how to DJ like properly, you know. And people were like freaking out and going crazy, and then things slowed down and people treated me weird. Well, this DJ that had tried to date me, and I didn't even realize he wanted to date me. I thought that we were just friends. And then it turned out that it was like he was trying to date me, and it was weird. And then and then he played it off like he acted like everything was cool. But was just kind of shady to me, you know? Like I would see him around and he was like just kind of weird and like wouldn't really, he would like pretend to be nice to me, but like wasn't really. I found out like 2 years later that he went around telling people that I had okay, so he wasn't just a DJ, he was a promoter and one of the biggest promoters in San Francisco. Like he was like in the top 5 people in the gay scene in terms of you know, like booking and stuff. And he went around telling people that I had tried desperately to get booked at his party. And it was like, I tried too hard and I was kind of pathetic or something, which wasn't even true at all. Like when I found out and I told my friends about it, like they were like, what? You don't even hardly like, okay, I was hardly even DJing at that time. I DJ'd a few times and people really liked it. And I did mention to him literally maybe once that, hey, if you ever want me to DJ, I have my records now. Because it took me a while to get my records like down to San Francisco, you know, because records are heavy. So I didn't have them when I first moved down. And I mentioned to him like once. I didn't pester him. I seriously only mentioned to him once. And he went around telling people that I had tried to get booked really hard. And my friends were all like, how could he possibly think that? Like how? And I just don't think he did. I think he was mad because I didn't want to date him. And also, I think that he thought I was a threat because I can honestly safely say with this fucking guy, I'm definitely more talented than him. He's never released a single track, you know, even though he's so well connected that if he made a good DJ track, it would be signed because he can book people who run labels, you know, like people would sign his track just so that they could play at his party, you know. So he's not talented enough to actually make songs. I put out 4 different releases on a record label, like 2 full-length albums and 2 6-song EPs, and I can DJ him under the table. So it was just I just made an enemy of somebody who wanted to ruin me. And it was totally accidental. I did not do anything bad to him. It was just I think it was a combination of the fact, if I had dated him, maybe things would have been different.
Maybe. I definitely, for me, a lot of the same issue with that was the reason why I gained the bad rep that I did. Part of it was just me simply being openly anti-SJW. But at one point, a few years back, 2014-15, I was actually starting to become a fairly popular cosplayer. I mean, not extraordinarily popular or anything like that, but I was starting to get to the point where you're an actually relevant cosplayer and you're kind of considered in some way a low-key idol for cosplay. And I guess never met this person, never talked to them, never spoke to them before, never liked anything of theirs, no association whatsoever. I guess this person just decided that they hated me and decided to go around saying that I had told a friend of mine to kill themselves. And even though my friend came out and said this never happened, I don't know what you're talking about, I don't know where this came from, no one would listen to either of us, and they just all sort of ate up this whole garbage that I had told them to kill themselves and just followed along with this person's SJW mindset. Oh, you fucking terrible person, you told this person to kill themselves, you're so evil. And everyone just went with it for some reason, even though I had never associated with this person ever. So I have no idea what I did to make this person want to do this. And I did know that this person, and I'd been warned about them before, that this person would do this to a lot of cosplay accounts that they felt threatened by. And after the stuff had died down with me, they had done it with another person over a different subject, but tried to do the same thing to them. And everyone still kissed this person's ass. Don't know why. You think they would get it, but they don't.
Yeah, I think with SJWs, and I know that not everybody can do this for their, you know, like, I talk to people at universities and like, they, like I talked to, did you watch my live stream with Sad Trans Puppy about the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
I did actually.
Yeah, so they had to hide in their car the night that they recorded it because their roommates
I remember that.
Yeah, and so and then, like it sucked because I was like, you should find other, you know, non-SJWs at your college, and they just didn't know how, you know.
It's actually really hard depending on where you're at. It's so hard. I'm fortunately in an area that is on the conservative side of things. So finding anti-SJWs or people who are just basically normal is not that hard, but they tend to be the other extreme where they're that super conservative, actual genuine racist.
Yeah.
So, it's not much better, but at least I don't have to worry as much about SJW stuff. However, when I used to live in Vegas, different story. Not that easy. definitely not that easy.
Well, what sucks is that like we, people that are okay, I wouldn't say anti-SJWs are the majority because like you have to like usually you have to experience a smear campaign against yourself in order to get red pilled. Like most people um they can like they have SJWs on their friend list, and they see them doing shitty things, and they see them freaking out all day about some stupid trivial graffiti on some college bathroom or something, and they're sharing the story like Kyle's mom from South Park, like what and it's like, oh my god, somebody wrote offensive graffiti on some university somewhere in some state that you don't live in. Oh my god, sound the alarms. And then but people see that and they think it's annoying, but they don't understand that it is like cancer, and that
I
it
know
will.
what you're saying. Yeah. I just say anti-SJW, anti-feminist for a lack of a better term. Essentially, I just mean anybody who isn't as extreme as them or is still removed from that, hasn't really picked a side, to people who are all the way on the other side. Basically, anybody who isn't SJW.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
we need to coin a term or something, but
okay, like what I'm saying is that there's definitely like the conservative people who it's not just that they are like kind of anti-SJW, it's that they've literally never been even close to trying to attempt to appease social justice culture. Like they're just like, it's just not them. They never stopped, calling people
the other extreme.
Yeah, and they've always been like that, and they've never even like it never occurred to them to stop calling gay guys faggots. Like they've just always kind of done that. There's that, and then there's people like us who are actively who know enough about social justice culture because we were around it, and then like realized that this was something that is bad and getting worse. And now we're trying to stop it because
it's like with all situations, you have the extremes and then the gray areas in between it. You have the conservative leaning people, but they're not fully conservative, and then you have the liberal leaning people who aren't fully liberal. It's just there's that gray area, and we're all just kind of somewhere.
Yeah. But the one thing I will say is that like social justice warriors, they do occasionally recruit new members from neutral people.
Mm-hmm.
Even still, like people like the word square is kind of but the squarest people on my Facebook friend list, like people who are probably well into their 40s, who haven't been at university, who probably work some very square job, who don't party anymore, and they don't really have an active social life, and they certainly aren't very good at the internet. I don't really know what they do with their time. Like they fucking watch Walking Dead and Game of Thrones, and that's it. And they all of a sudden over the past month, they're posting SJW status updates, like they just heard about it, they post a status. This actually happened. This one woman who, she's so nice, like she's such a nice woman. I've known her for a very long time. I've probably known her for like 20 years, and she's always so sweet. But she posted a status update like a few weeks ago, and it was all like, I just need to announce to the world, and she's white, of course. I just need to announce to the world that I am a white supremacist, and you probably are too. And we all need to admit this to ourselves before we can move forward. And it was like, oh no!
Well,
No.
like I said earlier, it's a part of it is they're trying to be hip, I think, and hip and cool, and this is what's the hip and cool thing, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And at the same time, they're also, this is painted to be like the good, right thing to do right now. So everyone's also like, well, I want to be good, I want to be right. So they're all trying to do that. A lot of it is people just trying to fit in and be hip.
Well,
Cool.
but there's also the weird professional ones that are in their friend group.
They're something else. See, they're the ones who started. So you have like the sheep, but then you have the herders, the shepherds.
Yeah.
And they're something else. They're people who genuinely think this and are trying to spread their seed all over the land so they can harvest it.
Yeah. Or they're very susceptible to cult mentalities. Okay, so like one of the things that happens with cults, especially as they get bigger, not, you know, a lot of cults they're very small and they have a leader and then there's like 20 people or whatever. But I went to a cult training kind of a thing, not cult training, an introduction to a cult where they tried to get me into it. It's called the Landmark Forum, and it's like a self-help cult. And what they do is they try to convince you that you're going to learn ways to improve your life through this, and it's really obviously a cult. It's really funny. My friend got into it, and it's big. It's probably like in international. They have it in various different places. I went to an introduction thing in New York, and they basically try to pressure you into it. And thank God I didn't actually do it. Well, first of all, I'm not susceptible to cults. I'm just not. I'm a very rigidly skeptical person, and I always have been. Because of my home life situation, I had my parents divorced twice by the time I was 5, and then there was like a custody battle that went on for like 2 years, and I ended up moving backwards and forwards to my mom's house and dad's house, and lived at each house 2 different times after the custody battle. So
you seem to have a lot of the same background in history and these things, so I can see how we have developed our views and stances on things. It's funny how the same situations result in the same or similar mental status on things. I'm quite fascinated with the human psychology and human mind in a lot of ways, so it's just fascinating to me.
Yeah, I agree. So I've always been very skeptical, and you know, because both my parents were like telling me that the other parent was bad, and it was like, well, what's true? You know, I guess I have to figure it out for myself. So I've never trusted anybody that was trying to be authoritarian over me. You know, anybody who tried to be like, I have all the answers, and you should.
My way is the right way.
Yeah, I was like, you're probably a liar, because everybody I knew who did have answers didn't say it like that. You know, like everybody I knew who had answers, they just sort of started telling me them. You know, like it was just kind of like, well, I'm your teacher, and here is what I think. Do you agree? And I would be like, yeah, I do, actually. You're cool. But this cult thing was weird, and thank God I didn't go to it, because what they do is they try to break you in the first day. They trap you in a room. They lock the door, and you sign up for this. You sign a contract so that like you can't sue them, and
you give us permission.
Yeah, they lock the door, and they won't let you go to the bathroom, and they won't let you eat. So you like,
I want to eat.
You start running on low blood sugar and shit, and then they get you to have, they get you to have a meltdown. They actually imitated this cult, and it came from something in the 70s called EST.
I know about that.
Yeah, and some guy like really like looked for he did a bunch of research in terms of like like how to get somebody to be obedient, and threw in a little bit of like Zen Buddhism, you know, and like he did a really thorough job of making something like, I think he was just trying.
The guy who created Scientology?
No, that's L. Ron Hubbard. He's different. But yeah, people should look up EST, and it's evolved, because the thing is about it, once they break you and they get you to have a breakdown, like they focus on everybody in the room, and they get you to lash out and have an emotional lash out. Like they did an imitation of it on 6 Feet Under, if anyone saw that. Like they try to say, they'll hone their sights on you, and they'll be like, so what's your deal? Why are you here? And they'll be like, well, I don't know, I wanted to learn stuff. Yeah, but about what? what? And then you're like, well, I don't, I mean, my daughter wanted me to come to this thing. And do you have a good relationship with your daughter? And then be like, well, I don't really want to talk about my daughter. Well, then why did you come here? Blah, 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 blah. And they'll do that. And then, and then when the woman finally freaks out and they say, look, okay, I really love my daughter, but I'm not sure if she really loves me back. And this is the only reason I came here is because I really love my daughter. And I don't like any of you people. I think you guys are all creepy and weird. You know, like when that woman finally does that, then they start clapping and they're like, you had your first breakthrough. And they reward you for like,
for being over emotional and insane.
And also revealing parts of yourself so that they know your weaknesses. Mm-hmm. And then they learn more and more about each person and they know how to manipulate them better. And then if you sign up, you pay, you know, a few $1,000 for the weekend to be basically psychologically broken. And then you can maybe come back. They'll try to convince you to come back, but they try harder with the people who get into it. Some people get really into this. And then the people who get into it, they train to be leaders and they train to do the same thing that happened to them to other people. So there's certain types of personalities that like this, they get off on it. They get off on this weird collectivist thing that's like manipulating groups of people and then they want to be the person that's manipulating the group of people. And it's very much not, I don't think how I think at all. Like I think I'm sort of the exact opposite. I mean, I definitely want attention. I definitely want to have influence over people. Obviously, I made a YouTube channel. But my version of influence is more like, hey, I am not going to tell you to like follow me at all because I totally make mistakes and I will admit to that right off the bat. And hopefully I'll do my best. And if you think I'm cool, if you think I'm worth listening to, awesome. You know, donate to my Patreon if you think so. But like, I am absolutely not gonna join up with some group of people trying to like claim that we are the superior knowledge and everything. And that's exactly what the SJWs do. And it is a cult-like thing. And there's been a lot of this in the past. I've come across it in different incarnations, but the weird thing is that this is the first time it's ever made it into like mainstream media and everything. Like I didn't think it would get on MTV.
Yeah, it's definitely at this point, calling it anything but a cult or a religion of some sort is kind of incorrect because it basically is in every way, sense and shape of the form. But just as you said, I didn't expect this to become so dominated by the media. So that's what makes me a lot more suspicious about it and makes me wonder those things like, is this a part of ISIS, since there's a lot of Islam related stuff in there? Is this some weird test of the government or something to mess with us, to keep us crazy so that they can get away with more shit? You know, I don't know. I'm the type of person where I don't say, oh, I know this for sure. I'm like, maybe it's this, could be this. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I agree. One of the things that really pissed me off, did you watch my stream on Sunday with the guy from Russia?
I haven't actually watched a lot of videos on YouTube at all in like the past few weeks.
Okay, well, you should maybe check out that stream, but I'll just give you something that I learned. He's a gay guy that lives in Moscow. First of all, okay, so it's not great to be gay in Russia, he says. It's probably, you know, I mean, I don't think he's ever really been to the US. It's probably better to be gay in the US. He definitely says it's not great. But there's totally gay bars in Moscow. There's 2 lesbian bars. Like 2 whole lesbian bars, which like they had to close the only lesbian bar in San Francisco, which shows how much of a demand there is for lesbian bars. There's not much of a demand for lesbian bars because lesbians, first of all, there's not as many lesbians as there are gay men. There just aren't as many of them. Second of all, they don't like to party that much. They like to fucking have potlucks. So, so yeah. I
can't relate to lesbians at all. I can't.
Yeah. You know, we actually.
I don't understand them at all.
Did you at all ever identify as a lesbian?
Okay.
Sorry, is that a trigger question?
No, it's just it's funny. It's funny. In a way, I did only because I've always been open with my sexuality. I never had a coming out moment, like ever. I never had a day where I was like, "Hey, mom, I'm gay, bi, whatever." I identify as bisexual because I know that I do sometimes find women sexually attractive, but I am very much into guys. I like guys, always have. And I also have perceived myself as a guy. Kind of have always, as long as I can remember, to the point where I realized gender was a thing. So I never really related to the whole lesbian thing up until like the whole social justice warrior stuff started to get popular. I did dabble in SJW-ism, I guess you would say, for a while, because at first, when it was first starting out, it seemed okay. So I stopped identifying as a transsexual man for a minute to identify as a non-binary feminine person. It was stupid. It was really dumb, and it only lasted a month because I realized how retarded it was. And I was like, oh, I'm a lesbian. And I realized I am not a lesbian. It's like I walked in the door, saw what lesbians were like, and turned the fuck around.
Yeah, God, yeah, lesbian culture. It's weird too because it's not always like that, but like when it gets
collectively, they're like that. Individually,
yeah,
they're kind of chill, and I can have lesbian friends, but when they're in a group,
yeah,
I don't know what happens.
no, and
But they're the most boring people I've ever met. I'm sorry.
yeah, no, they're no, they become there's this horrible thing, and this is something that there this has been talked about all throughout history of, ever since the gay liberation movement, like ever since people were allowed to be open about being queer. Fucking, like, there was a book I had that came from it was written in the 90s, and it was written by a lesbian. She called herself Misbehavior, like Miss and then behavior.
I'm sorry.
And and it was called Misbehavior's Guide to the LGBT. It was Do What I Say, Misbehavior's Guide to the LGBT Community or whatever. And it just had different chapters. And one of the themes throughout the book was that she considered she was a lipstick lesbian, and she was always a lesbian, never been attracted to men. It was just how she was. But she's like, I accept that I am a rare breed. There's not that many like me. And then she had different chapters for like the 5 different types of gay men, the 5 different types of lesbians. There was an entire chapter called never it was like never get a lesbian therapist, why lesbian therapists are totally creepy or something. and then the part that highlights, like, the one takeaway that I really remember from the book was because it was true, it had already happened to me by the time I read it. I was like in high school and this has happened to me. She talked about the PC lesbians, because we didn't have the term SJW in the 90s. It was just PC people. And she was like, yeah, the PC lesbians, she was the mortal enemy of the PC lesbians. She hated them. She was like, they're the worst. I don't like them. I don't have anything in common with them. I try to
definitely the worst. They raid the internet.
Yeah, she's like, and this was sort of before the internet, was really a popular. And she's like, I try to avoid them at all costs, but sometimes if you're gay and if you're a lesbian, you end up encountering them, you end up at the same party as them. And then you have to be careful what you say, because if there's enough of them and you say the wrong thing, like, let's say you pull out you pull out a tampon from your purse and to give to another girl, and it turns out that the tampon is made by a company that has bad environmental policies or something, you will end up with in a lesbian shame circle.
Oh no.
And it's basically like, call out culture on the internet, but it was in person. Yeah. And she's like, I think she said, there's no way I can describe this in text that will do any justice to how bad it really is.
See, I kind of know what it's like, because in that little bit of time where I was like, oh, I'm a non-binary lesbian, which I don't know why I did that. I wish I never did that. Don't ever watch Steven Universe and get into the fandom, guys. Don't do it. You will regret it. Don't. that time while I was there, this was also the time where, even though I was still openly anti-feminist and everything like that, I thought it would be fun to into the SJW community and pretend to be one of them, just to try and see if I could understand them more. And oh my god, I've blocked most of it from my mind because it was so tragic, but trying to talk about being what you're sexually attracted to in women with other lesbians in a public situation where it's a group of them is by far the worst thing ever, because every time I would try to say, oh, well, I really like this in a woman, they would always try to one up me and be all like, well, I like this and this because this is more inclusive. Like, I'm not allowed to have my preferences. And they especially didn't like it if, because at the time I was kind of butchy looking. I had like long hair and a ponytail, but I wore a lot of like Letterman jackets and, you know, the plaid shirt.
Oh my god, I used to wear Letterman jackets. I started the Letterman jacket trend of that came back this decade. Swear to God. I started it in the Bay Area. I had 3 different Letterman jackets starting around like 2008 was when I started wearing them, and I had to get them totally vintage. The people probably died or something and they ended up in the vintage store. And
yeah, well, I was doing that too. I was wearing all the stupid plaid shirts and the jean vests and the Letterman jackets all the time. And they kind of would clock me as butch, but then when they tried to talk to me and realize something wasn't right, I think they could kind of sense that I wasn't really into them or something. I don't know how to describe it.
No, I know exactly what you mean. No, the thing is, they
knew, they could smell that I like.
Yeah, that you're not brainwashed. They're like this. They can smell if you have independent thought, and I think that what you have to do is you have to. They are satisfied with nothing less than you reciting a bunch of their kind of SJW Bible verses. Like you have to like to say like you can't just say, oh, I'm attracted to this type of girl. You have to say, I'm attracted to all women. And you know, I'm attracted to butch, and I'm attracted to femme, and I'm attracted to everything in between, and I'm attracted to all races. But sometimes I'm not always, because I still accept that I am influenced by white supremacy and that it does affect my preferences. But I'm working on that all the time.
Yeah.
That's what you have to say, and then they're like, okay, this one passes for now. But every 5 hours they have to say something like that again.
Yeah, it was an awful experience, and I didn't even have to take 2 feet out the door to realize, yeah, no. And also, awkward situation is when you are with someone who's an SJW in a relationship who is clearly a SJW lesbian and you are not. That is the most awkward thing in the world. And I can't even begin to describe the level of awkwardness intimacy is in that situation when you're like, so I'm a guy and I want to do guy things, but you're not a guy and I'm interested in guys. It was a very confusing sexual situation for me, just overall.
Sorry, somebody in the chat just asked me if I'd fuck Justin Trudeau, and I had to write that yes, I would. So let's see. How long have we been doing this? We've been doing this. We should probably go on for another 10 minutes. And my laptop is running out of batteries, and my charger is in the other room, so that's convenient. We're talking about SJWs. You're venting, which is the purpose of this stream. And oh, this is what I wanted to talk about. What we were watching, that thing where they were trying to like go and like flagrantly misrepresent history and pretend that it was just some weird white guy philosopher that invented binary genders. I thought, and maybe if you would be interested in this project, we could do this as a collab. And because if you're interested, I have been thinking about this, of doing this for a while, but to do a series called Social Justice History. And it would be like what social justice people, how they think history actually went, and it would just be this very satire-y, you know, like it would be like the feminists the feminist version of slavery, where the nice woman didn't want her evil colonialist husband to do those mean things to the black people, but then, you know, he was like, "Shut up, bitch! Make me a sandwich." And
I'd love to do this. I'd love to do this. Would this be like voice acting or something?
Yeah, you could help with. Okay, so I would be doing. I would write it all, and then I mean, if you wanted to help write it, you'd be welcome to do that. But I was thinking I would write it just because that's, you know, how you get things done. And you could help with the artwork. We could just have some illustrations, like it was a children's book, sort of, kind of like I do.
Definitely try and sketch up a few things. Like currently, right now, all my art is very much focused on my webcomic that I was making, that I told you about.
Yeah.
The story changed, but it's still still a similar core message. The story's different now, but that's kind of taking up a lot of my artistic time and work, is that comic. And if I get any commissions, I do that.
Well, how about this? I write the first episode and see if it's something that you're interested in illustrating, and I'll give it to you. It looks like the audience that's here is interested in the thing. They're saying stuff about it, and so it sounds like they're wanting.
I mean, I'd be interested in it. I do have a decent microphone. I have a makeshift homemade sound booth, so once I actually go in and edit the audio and stuff, I can get decent audio recordings. So if you need a voice for a female character or something like that, I can do that.
Yeah, it sounds good. I think that so they're wondering who you are, and I'm putting your Twitter handle into the
Not much happens on my Twitter, guys. I mean, not much happens anywhere right now because my life is, again, consumed by that comic and school.
Yeah. Are you in college now or high school?
I am still in high school due to unfortunate health circumstances that made me lose a lot of my school education years, being in the hospital. So I'm basically repeating all the grades at once that I can right now. But I should be in college.
Huh. Well, you're very sharp. I mean, I guess you don't, as we all know at this point, you don't really learn all that much in the public education that you can't learn on.
Faulty.
Is what?
The public education is extremely faulty, and it's really just based on seeing how much you're willing to sit and listen and obey.
Yeah, and especially now that we have the internet, because it's like you can learn everything you learn at fucking.
I've learned more online than I've ever learned in any school environment. I taught myself how to draw, and I learned the things that I learned by going to Google, typing in how the fuck do you do this, rather than going to art classes in school.
Yeah, and that's and learning how to draw is something that traditionally, I mean, like, it's a lot. I guess if you're somebody that's going to have talent, you can figure it out through tutorials and stuff. But at the same time, it is really helpful to have an actual teacher, like an instructor, that can come and sort of show you brushstrokes and shit like that. Like
in public school, you can't have that. They just sit there and be like, do this, do that. Here's what you do. Here's the page. Here's just, They don't take individual time with anybody.
Yeah. I want to start teaching playwriting classes online. I've talked about this a few times, organizing a playwriting class, and I feel like it would be a good way to for me to make some money and also provide something to the YouTube community. It's a weird thing to say, but it's something.
Go for it. There is a, sorry to interrupt, but there is this one thing. I see a lot of the artists side of YouTube talk about this, and it's there's this website. I wish I could I'll go look up what the name of it is and message it to you on Twitter, but there's a website where you basically anyone can join it, and it's like a paid thing, but you go on there, you can make lessons for anything and everything, and then other people will pay to get lessons from you and stuff, so you kind of pay each other to do stuff. It's interesting. So that might be of your interest.
Yeah, I heard that they're already organizing that kind of thing on Minds, like the social networking. Are you on Minds?
I don't The only social networking stuff that I do right now is the basic stuff: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr.
Yeah, well, so Minds is very new, and I can't figure out how to send people messages on it, which is kind of annoying. But I
What exactly is Minds? Like, describe
it's
it.
it's kind of like WeChat, which is the Chinese thing. It combines. I mean, it's basically like Facebook, really. But there's a little bit more to it. And it's in its beta stage, so it's not fully developed yet. So I can't even figure out how to send people messages. But supposedly the messages are encrypted, so it only people you can send anything that you want, and you don't have to worry about somebody taking that information. And then you can upload videos. So I just started uploading videos. I uploaded three of my more recent videos are on there. If people want to follow Prince of Queens on Minds, I am now uploading videos there because I'm getting really paranoid about YouTube, as everybody should be. everybody who people actually, maybe sort of watch at all, and who talk about politics and stuff. Like, we are all of our audience should be looking to other sources, because we might end up, there might be kind of a mass extinction of us on YouTube all of a sudden, real quick, and
Yeah.
you'll have to find us somewhere else. I'm one of the smaller ones, but at the same time,
Still at risk.
what?
You're still at risk of being removed. And they might even start with the smaller ones on purpose, so it doesn't seem like they're getting rid of everybody.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know if they have a clear idea of how to do it, because, like, I think that they are, they might just be sort of bluffing a little bit with PewDiePie and trying to scare us, but
Maybe.
but it's not necessarily like Google who's behind this. It's I don't want to think that it is. I want to think that YouTube and Google want their platform to be open and free and everything, but what I think is happening is that there's politicians
Paying them or manipulating it.
no, not even necessarily paying and manipulating Google, but paying and manipulating advertisers. Somehow politicians are making advertisers scared that they can't allow Google to have certain type of content. And some of the advertisers, because advertisers are, okay, imagine if you're the CEO of some sort of, like, I don't know, like, cereal company or something. Like, you fucking are the
Oh, I made Raisin Bran.
yeah, you're fucking you're the fucking Kellogg's guy. You
Tony the Tiger.
some shit. Okay, but if you're that guy, if you're the CEO of that, you have to deal. That's a hard job. You have to deal with so much shit. You have to deal with all the factories. You have to deal with the advertising on the box. You have to deal with like the Food and Drug Administration, like, blah 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 blah. That's like a lot of fucking work. You barely probably have time to think about fucking YouTube advertisements. That's like one of the last things on your fucking mind. So if a politician schedules an appointment with you, you're the CEO of this fucking company that for cereal, you're super busy. You're like, okay, I have an hour that I can meet with you in 2 weeks. So you schedule this hour. And you're like, I don't know what they want to talk to me about YouTube for some fucking reason. I don't fucking know. And the person comes in and they're like, there's Nazis all over YouTube. You can't let your advertisements be on YouTube, blah, 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 blah. And they show you the PewDiePie videos that have him, like,
No
making
context, no information.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're like, oh shit, that's pretty crazy. I should call up YouTube. And all he says, like, hey, yeah, I don't know if I want my ads being on that thing they were showing me. There's some kind of crazy shit. And they're like, yeah, we're getting a lot of complaints about that, because they're having politicians go around and talk to the CEOs of all the companies trying to fearmonger. Is probably what's happening. So it's like it's not so much just like Google wanting to, like, fuck over everybody, but they've gotten enough complaints from advertisers that it is starting to be a problem. So they're starting to like be like, okay, how do we clamp down on this?
They're mostly just trying to keep their business alive.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Conservation.
Yeah. So yeah, so I would love to I should start writing that social justice history. I think it'll be a good one. You know, we're past the social justice warrior phase where we need to be directly oppositional with them all the time, because that's just getting a little bit tired. Though granted, you know, videos like mine where I explain feminist theory and stuff like that are still useful, because but like, you know, all the response videos are not super necessary anymore, which is
I mean, at this point I think everyone kind of gets it. They get social justice warriors are crazy.
Well, and I mean, not everybody, but like we're not getting anywhere by just making fun of them.
Yeah,
like we have to actually like actually take it apart piece by piece with the philosophy, and continue to do that, and make sure that everybody understands that we understand the idea perfectly. We understand what they're trying to get across, but what they're trying to get across is the problem. It's wrong. It's fucked up. So I think that the social justice history, sort of a satire thing where it sort of like, you know, describes what they seem to think is reality, and just make it make it satire, where, but you know, make it to the point. I'm going to try to make it to the point where SJWs would start watching it because they would think that maybe it's for them, you know, and then it's like, oh wait, this is making fun of me and my beliefs. Oh shit. And they realize that after 2 minutes, you know, and hopefully they'll keep.
I definitely want to get on that. That sounds awesome. Totally.
Yeah.
Because that's basically what my webcomic was originally going to be, was a big old satire joke on all of that. But
yeah, I think you'd be great at illustrating it, and you can illustrate it in
you know, I'd actually even let you take the original name of my webcomic, and we can call it Academia Millennia.
Academia Millennia?
Yeah, that was the original name of the webcomic. It's different now, but if you wanted to name it that, you can.
Yeah, I mean that's a cool name. I could toy with that. I like the idea of just like social justice history, because that's sort of, you know, actually, well, Academia Millennia basically sort of says the same thing. And it's more unique. Social justice history is kind of forgettable.
Social justice history is a little too obvious too. I think it comes off a little too clearly as satire. And
it's also sort of similar to like Chris Rea Gun's Social Justice the Musical and stuff. Like it would be easy to get confused. But if it was Academia Millennials, that's pretty good. I think maybe we have something there.
That, or if you want to use an adaptation of that, feel free. Even though I still have some of the comics of that written out and still have basically the copyright for that, I'd be happy to try and transfer over. I'll actually tell you the story. I think you might like to know what the original story plotline for this was, because I think it might be able to give you some ideas.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm about to run out of batteries, and we shouldn't actually talk too much about the specifics on the stream.
Out too much.
No, yeah.
Privately.
Okay, so I'm going to end the stream right now, and it was great to have all you in the chat. I'll talk to you all later. Say bye.
Bye-bye.